can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InsideAuto.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. And, you know, I have an amazing guest today. Before I get to it, I'm going to just tell you, this is part of the Israel Business Leader Series. You could check out past interviews. We had Moise Navone of Mobileye. Mobileye, if you haven't heard of them, they got acquired by Intel for $13.2 billion. But you know what, Aharon, what I like is, Moise talked about the sacrifices in the journey. He talked about that he had to go back to his wife and kids and tell them, I'm pulling you out of all extracurricular activities and there's no more eating out, because the journey was not always on the upside. You know what I mean? And so I like talking about those types of pieces of the journey. John Medved and Yossi Vardi I talked to, and asked them, what were their biggest miss as an investor? Okay. Yossi said Waze, and he talked about why he passed. And John Medved talked about Salesforce. He was friends with Mark Benioff and why he passed on Salesforce early on. And anyways, that and many more on InsideAuto.com. And yeah, I know, it's crazy. This episode is brought to you by Rise25. I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran, and we help B2B businesses give to and connect to their Dream 100 partnerships and clients and help you run your podcast. So, for me, Aharon, it's the number one thing in my life is relationships. And I'm always looking at a way to give to my best relationships. And I feel like a podcast is the best way to profile other thought leaders in the space and companies that I love and I'm proud of. So you can go to rise25.com. If you're thinking about or thought about doing a podcast, check it out. And I'm excited today. A big shout out to Craig Weiss. I would not have known about the amazing things that AutoLeadStar and Aharon Horwitz are doing without Craig Weiss of Retainer Club and In Your Face podcast. And of course, Alana Shabte keeps everything moving. So thanks, Alana. Aharon Horwitz, founder and CEO of AutoLeadStar. If you don't know what AutoLeadStar is, you should, especially if you're in the car industry. They use cutting edge technology to help the automotive industry be more effective at engaging buyers. So, what's the biggest question to any business? How do I engage quality customers on the web, especially in this day and age, and turn them into engaged people and buyers? And they create a technology that answers that question. So that helps automate it. So it basically works for you around the clock. And, I don't need to go on, but they're featured in, different auto publications, AutoDealer Today, CarBizToday, and many more. Check out AutoLeadStar and their podcast Inside, they have an amazing podcast, Inside Auto Podcast. Check it out. Aharon, thanks for joining me all the way from Israel.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Jeremy. Happy to be here.
I want to get into what you do and, how things are changing, especially, there's a new world in the whole world, but also in car dealerships. So how are things, you're on the cutting edge of this and you've been doing this for a long time. Talk about what you do first, and then we'll talk about how things are changing.
Yeah. Automotive is an amazing space because it goes back, its origins, its history, its lineage really go back to the one of the most core human needs, which is, of course, transportation, right? From time immemorial, we've been trying to figure out, how do you go from point A to point B in a way that's more safe, faster, comfortable, right? That's this core need that humans have, along with warmth, with security and all that. And it's an amazing thing to see this industry, which is the sort of, 19th and 20th century's answer to that transportation question. Prior to that, and automotive kind of picked the baton up from this era. You had horses, you had buggies, right, and you had bicycles, actually, which luckily are still around with us in many ways. And we have some horses around too. Nothing wrong with that. So that's I think one of the coolest things about it. When you have an industry that is that history rich and anchored in the past, what you're going to find is that the business practices evolve with time. But in the case of automotive, because it's such a big industry and so unique in so many ways, right? Second largest purchase, and there's this franchise system of dealers. The marketing side of that business, and in many ways even the purchase side, but a lot of the marketing side, it's evolved much more slowly than some of the companies you mentioned at the top of the podcast, like say the world that use Salesforce. Interestingly, I don't think I've ever met a dealer that uses Salesforce, Jeremy, believe it or not. I don't think I have. They use software that has emerged in the auto industry, indigenous, fits the needs of automotive. And then suddenly, as kind of the world has shifted, there's this need for them to suddenly, use tools like AI and scaled marketing, so on and so forth. Suddenly that's this new world that they're in. And that tension, which is being driven by competitive pressures, by dealers' desires to really succeed and to upgrade and to modernize, that tension is exactly where we come in as a company. And what AutoLeadStar does is essentially inaugurate a new category of business for this industry, which is a type of marketing that is founded on data integration, founded on true scaled, fast, specific types of matchmaking between shoppers and cars that can be embedded into a dealer's business. And so if you think about it, like the dealers, they really understand their business. If I walk into a car dealership, most dealers or salespeople at dealerships, they could just look at me and they could say, I know exactly what this person wants. I know whether to go up to them now, give them 5 minutes, let them look at cars, let them not look at cars. Are they looking for this side of the showroom or that side of the showroom? That intuition has unfortunately been essentially removed from the picture when you think about the digital showroom, which is where most people start their shopping journey now. And technologies like up until us essentially, and of course some others as well, but they've really functioned more like kind of digital versions of billboards. They put up a couple cars on the web and, they run a lot of campaigns. And if people are interested, you get lucky. What we're doing now is we're bringing in a new way of marketing where we see everything. We see what customers are looking for. We see more customers. We see what vehicles are on the lot. We see what the history of those different types of models and makes might be. And then we're basically crunching all that data together and we're generating and optimizing for the dealers 24/7 ad campaigns and conversions on the website that are just so far beyond what you could be doing with like a manual agency or the types of companies that they've been working with up until now. So, that's what we are doing. We talk about it as, a dealer, a type of marketing that's founded on really seeing more. So it's like a high resolution versus a low resolution type of marketing. And it's predicated on being extremely speedy, meaning everything has to happen fast, which means you need automation. It's predicated on being extremely scaled. We want to treat every car like it's the only car when we market it, even if it's a snowplow on the back of the lot, right? And then it's focused also on being very specific. We can get down to the specific customer. So dealers are going to use us to run their marketing ad campaigns. They're going to use us to get higher conversions on the website. We work with hundreds of dealers in the United States, rapidly growing, lots of the top names. We're moving forward, really well with some of the car makers and just trying to basically give this new tool set to a very important historic sector.
Aharon, I want to talk about, I know you can't mention names because you just came out with this, but we were talking right before we hit record about 4x leads. Can you talk about what you were doing with that?
Yeah, I was just saying like those, when you really apply speed, scale, and specificity in a very sort of scientific way, but in a way that really takes the best of what dealers know about marketing and translate that into technology, you can just get incredible results. And those types of results are not incremental results; they're like step function results, meaning they're a very big step forward. So we we just finished a pilot with a dealer, really significant dealer. And like we do in our pilots, we tend to set success criteria based on like what happened last year. And even though it's COVID, we just take the numbers from last year and say we're gonna compete.
Because you're sort of at a disadvantage at COVID.
Yeah, you're at a disadvantage. We look at the weekends, we make sure we're not including accidentally Labor Day or whatever. Anyways, the point is we ran this pilot with the dealer. And I think like most dealers, dealers are always open to trying new things. They're extremely innovative, entrepreneurial folks. They're not necessarily, they have a healthy dose of skepticism from their experience. And I think, again, we walk into every dealership saying, hey, we're going to do all this stuff, this fancy stuff. We're going to bring automation. We're going to do things that you were paying a lot of money for to have done manually. They're going to be automated. In the end of the day, results speak. And truthfully, the only thing that speaks is sales. That's how dealers are and how they should be. In this particular case, we had a target on leads, quality leads, and we 4X'd the target, which was a really wonderful outcome. And I think the dealer, maybe believes us a little more. We have to do that another month and another month, and they'll actually buy it.
It's what have you done for me lately?
It comes down to sales, right? You want to make sure that's going to translate into a sales lift for them, which is also something that we're very good at doing. Like the challenge with leads, meaning we don't think of leads like we do, meaning we have it in our name. And, when we were founded, we were thinking of ourselves as lead gen. But what we quickly realized over time was that it wasn't about, leads. It was about, helping people be leaders and be stars, right, in their business. Because then the greatest dealers really are very much people. They want to create a great consumer experience. And the technology should be an extension of what that dealer knows, thinks, wants. And the way that we translate their insights and knowledge into marketing is very powerful, brings good results, and is very authentically that dealer.
So what did you do for them?
Well, they used us in place of a traditional marketing agency, ran all their paid search, all their digital like social marketing, social media marketing, and we drove a heck of a lot of quality shoppers to their website and to their CRM so that they could go follow up and make those closes.
Yeah. I mean, like if a dealership is listening right now and they're like, this sounds amazing. How does it work? How do you explain it to them typically?
So what we generally do is say that you could think of us as a kind of the next evolution of the marketing agency, which they're all used to working with, right? So they have a marketing agency, they run their Google ads, they run their Google display ads, they run their Facebook marketing, their Instagram marketing, and our technology takes care of all of that. And then we also embed some intelligence on the website that helps do personalized targeting. So you could think of us as kind of a next generation matchmaker between the cars they have on their lot and their shoppers via the mediums of Google and Facebook paid marketing and the website that they have. And that's what we do.
Where did you get the idea for this?
So it's interesting because the idea really emerged out of being passionate about small and medium businesses. My co-founders and I, Eli Avanishai, we were in different ways, we were all involved in the world of SMBs. And we were looking at the way marketing was evolving and seeing that, big players in the space who tend to usually put a lot of pressure on SMB businesses, they just have unbelievable tools for marketing and unbelievable tools for automation and access to kind of off-the-shelf stuff that is very powerful. And SMBs don't have the bandwidth or capacity to operate that stuff. It may be designed for them at the beginning in order to get into the market. Very quickly, those businesses tend to go up to enterprise. And we were very curious whether we could build a marketing automation system that was built for SMBs and able to work in that type of environment, small, medium businesses, right? And we did, and we built some really cool stuff that used very advanced technology. You mentioned that we were in Israel. So in Israel, you have access to a lot of really good developers, developer talent, and advanced technology, who are the folks my co-founders and others who work at the company. And we luckily, through one of our advisors, stumbled into Automotive. And when we got going there, we built a succession of products, and we realized that we just have a real advantage because of how we can operate with intelligence and data at scale. And what we were doing was actually taking kind of the same types of insights a dealer would have just looking at a person walking into a showroom. We were actually figuring out how to translate those, not for one campaign or for two campaigns or for a few cars, and the rest of the cars just get like a catch-all stuff for every single car and for every single opportunity that a dealer has, service and whatnot. And as we realized that the technology really is breakthrough in this industry. The results are breakthrough. Again, if you can embrace that as a dealer, you're suddenly playing in the future where the sort of non-automotive marketing technology is actually at. Now, if you try to bring non-automotive MarTech into automotive, it would not work because there's so much specificity that you have to account for. The minute you make that happy marriage of the same tech chops and approach to scaled marketing automation from the outside with the knowledge and insight into auto, then you suddenly have, you have something special. When we first came in, we did not know auto. I'll freely admit that 5-6 years ago, I did not understand a word anyone was saying to me, but we learned that.
Well, innovation, innovation all
went from there.
Yeah. Innovation comes from outside industry typically. Right. So sometimes it's an advantage, right?
Yeah. Like I find innovation comes either from the internal periphery or from the external, often more from the internal periphery. I think if you have the inside, if you know an industry and yet you're not like bought into the models that everyone always uses and you just try things differently, that's a great position to be in. When you come from the outside, you have a big hurdle. We were willing to go through, frankly, just like the difficulties and the pain to get through that hurdle. And now I could talk cars with a lot of people. Dealers say that I sound like I know at least basically what I'm talking about. What we definitely know is the tech side, and we really know how to work with the tools of the day. And bridging that gap is sort of our, when you think about it, like your typical dealer either has an in-house team or works with a marketing agency. Those folks then work with the markets. Right now, the major markets being Facebook, Google, a few others. And over the past 5 years, like that worked fine. But those markets, Facebook, Google, they've advanced at light speed, right? So over the past 5 years, they've added so much functionality, so much opportunity. That's stuff that's really only accessible. You can really only take full advantage of that if you're using technology to talk to it. And those agencies, who are great agencies, and any dealer looking for an agency has an amazing selection. They're not. They didn't say, oh no, now we're a full tech company and we're going to go all in with that and keep that lock. So a gap opened up, and frankly, the dealer now sits over here. Only a little of their opportunities are being captured. Because there's a lot of people looking for that snowplow in the back of the lot. No one's going to spend the time to market that thing, right? Unless you bring in technology that can give you specificity, scale, and speed. And that's where AutoLeadStar really came in to fill that gap, see more, understand more, bring that level of resolution and detail to the dealer to drive more sales opportunities.
Yeah. Aharon, with any company, it goes down to execution and team. You've built an amazing team at AutoLeadStar, and I want to talk about how you met your co-founders and built the team.
So we're 3 co-founders. One of my partners I met in the Army. We were in infantry together and slept in the same tent. So that's how we got to know each other. He went on to be a tech guru, and so many years later we decided to do something together. I'm very one of the great things to happen is have
you're
friendships.
Literally in the trenches with them.
Yeah, exactly. We were literally in the trenches. We're usually marching around, and then Eliav, who's our other co-founder, he was in a university with my co-founder, and just got to get to know him. He's a real he's a product guy. He happens to be, his background's in math, but he's a product guy. And we were able to really build a good connection and just wanted to be on a journey together. The only reason companies work because of the people, and so it was a good founding core, and we've added amazing people since. And I feel like it's really a movement. We're all just really dedicated to trying to bring this new type of marketing opportunity to one of the most important businesses in the world, certainly in the United States and other major kind of middle class democracies, where you have in the U.S. you have 1.5 million people directly employed at dealerships. You have a payroll every year of $67 billion, $70 billion. That's just the franchise dealers. India, it's even you add more. You have state taxes sometimes being 20-30% sales tax on car sales. It's an engine of the economy. People can still get jobs there, can still earn a respectable living. There aren't that many places like that anymore, and we feel very privileged to be trying to give that space and those businesses the tools they need to be successful in the future.
How did your experience in the Israeli army shape you?
I don't know. It's a place that's very, it's very much into like solving problems and taking ownership. So I think that was they put a lot of trust in people. They don't really care about age or kind of where you're from. It's just more about like what you're able to do. And I think that sort of meritocratic approach where we can check out from, I don't even know the age of half the people who work at my company. And some of them I think have big titles, but are actually really pretty young, but there's nothing to do with that. It's all about what you can do. A lot of, dealing with challenges and perseverance. I actually saw this interesting article. I think it was in Forbes or I don't know, it was in an airport, Fortune. I don't know, somewhere, I saw it off the shelf that for a time, I guess during the 2008 economic crash, like in the years afterwards, companies were actually trying to hire people from certain types of Army backgrounds, officers and whatnot, mainly because they could navigate uncertainty. And they were okay with that. And, the fog of war, they'd been trained to deal with that and be okay with that level of uncertainty. And I think like right now with COVID, that's certainly come in handy, just sort of this sense of confidence that, you have certain competencies, you have a certain compass, and you just navigate and react to what's coming your way. And that's not always easy. I mean, you're talking about some of the other folks that you were speaking with, what they were talking about, the journey and the challenges. There are many and many mistakes. And, in the end of the day, I think one of the key characteristics of an entrepreneur is just perseverance and commitment and a sense of responsibility to the ultimate mission and outcome that you're going after, while really trying to care about the people, who you're working with. And, even if it doesn't work out with someone, you also try to care and be respectful and whatnot. So it's like, those are the things that I think you pick up in an experience like in the military and at least in my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Before we finish, I want to tell people two last questions. I want to point people towards AutoLeadStar.com. They could check out what you guys are doing, what you've built over there, and Inside Auto podcast. Just quickly, what's been I always ask because it's Inspired Insider, what's been more of a low point, challenge point, and what's been a proud moment for you?
I mean, some of them are together, right? Those low point challenge, those low point, how you respond and react to low point challenge points. Look, we've been on, a journey to build this thing and to really kind of see that vision come together. And as an entrepreneur, that's challenging in many ways. It's challenging on family. It's challenging on relationships. And I think that, rather than pointing to any one particular thing, you have all those things. You have those moments where there's not a lot of money in the bank. You have those moments where you're on the road, for weeks on end, or even longer, and you're not seeing your family, and you feel this, crushing sense of, letting them down. I mean, those are very real things for most entrepreneurs. I think most of us experience those things, and I've experienced them, and I feel a lot of empathy and sympathy to those that are. I think that's obviously very much present. When it comes to like things I'm proud of, I'm just proud of the innovation that we've brought to the table. Our team is all about solving problems, being creative, doing things well and right. We're also willing to tolerate a certain amount of failures, and I think that's also important for entrepreneurs. And there's nothing that hurts more. I mean, it happens to all of us. It just doesn't work for some reason, right? We have this really nice person who put us on a dealership and an independent dealership somewhere, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't working. There were things in their account and things with us, I'm sure it just didn't work. Those feel really bad, but for me, it's all about how do we react to that? And what's our ultimate guiding vision, and how are we driving forward? And we have this vision where these businesses that are dealerships, these important businesses, are all marketing like they're top tier Fortune 500 players and rocking it. And we're driving towards that every single day. And that's what motivates me and what motivates our company.
What episode should people check out of the podcast?
Whoa, interesting. Anything that Ilana is hosting, you should check out. She's great. Aside from that, I don't know, there's so many good ones. I know we interviewed Derek West of the Autobahn Group, and Derek's really been he's lived the whole digital evolution of automotive. We interviewed on a totally different side. We interviewed Chase Frazier from Frazier McCombs Capital, venture investor in automotive, and he talked a lot about entrepreneurship and what he looks for in companies, where things are going. Dale Early, who runs an amazing dealership down in Texas. We've just had a great Derek DeBoer from out in Oregon, and his amazing story with his spouse Brooke around dealerships, racing. It just goes on and on. There's great content in there.
Thank you. First of all, Aharon, I know there's so much more to go to, but you have more dealerships to help. So I'll let you do that. Everyone check out AutoLeadStar.com. Check out InsideAutoPodcast.com. And thanks for being with me.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Great to be here.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better.